Hey, welcome to Village Church. My name is Kristen, and I'm here with Zach, our lead pastor here on our online site. We are so excited to be here today, and we really hope that you've been enjoying the last few months of our sermon with our teaching team. You know, we have Michael Chinchilla, Fanu Ipe, Chris DeMonier, Victor Maynard. I mean, I have been really personally enjoying just the different perspectives and the unique take on the scripture, the interpretation of the gospel.
Yeah,
really.
It's been so good. We're so blessed to have amazing in-house lead pastors who are part of this now kind of official teaching team, and that's what it'll be. But we've also had guest speakers come in. Andy Hawthorne and Ricky Jenkins have come in, and we've really been blessed by some of the best speakers across the globe. Like, these guys are amazing. So that's what will continue to happen. We hope that we have our in-house team, but also some guest speakers will be sprinkled in there. And that's also that we get discipled and become followers of Jesus the best way possible, and we hope that you're blessed by that. But today we also have a guest speaker, and you may know this guy. He was actually our founding pastor here at Village Church, now serves as one of the teaching pastors down at Bayside Church in California. So we have Mark Clark speaking today. It's going to be so good. He always brings the heat.
Totally. We're so excited for that today. And not only that, we really hope you've been having a good summer. I don't know about you, if you've heard about summer fun, if you have kids, there's this program where there's devotionals, there's a podcast, there's games. You know, my husband and I were in the car doing a road trip the other day, and we were playing bingo because there's this bingo for kids and summer fun. So make sure you check that out at thisisvillagechurch.com/summer fun.
Yeah, there's so many great resources on that page you'll find. And all of these are just meant to help you have a restful summer, a fun summer, and really just spur conversations in your house about Jesus. The podcast that's come out is so good. Even like the team, I know they put lots of work into this to kind of create a format that you can just put on in your house and just have some conversations about the content and Jesus. And we just hope that that is such a blessing to you. And I know it's going to be. It's been a blessing to you already and for you next.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to move into a time of worship now. And you might be thinking, like, you know, I know we hear these songs and I'm maybe supposed to sing along. What is worship? And I think it's important that we just take a moment and reorient our minds and just the idea of what this is. Worship is a pointer towards God, who He is. And maybe you're a singer, that's great, belt it out. And maybe you're not, that's okay. And what you can do instead is really just focus in on those words. Reflect on the meaning, because all of our songs just point to Jesus, His glory, His greatness. And so that can be your focus today as we worship together.
He lay, see the stone rolled away. He is risen, He's alive. See His hands, see His feet, touch His scars and believe. He is risen, He's alive. Oh, He's alive. He lives. All honor and power are His. All glory forever. Amen. Jesus lives. Hear the shackles breaking free. Hear the song of the redeemed. He is moving, He's alive. So take this freedom, take this love. Can you feel it rising up? He is here, He's alive. And He lives. All honor and power are His. All glory forever. Amen. Jesus is finished. It is finished. You took all our shame, left it in the grave. We're forgiven. We're forgiven. The work forever done, holy by the blood, and it is finished. Oh, it is finished. And she lived. All honor and power are His. All glory forever. Amen. Jesus, He lives. All honor and power are His. All glory forever. Amen. Jesus lives. Jesus lives.
You bring life to the barren places, light to the darkest spaces, God. It's your nature. You bring joy to the broken hearted, hope to the ones who've lost it, God. It's your nature. There is no desert that your streams can't run to. There are no ruins that your love won't make new. You tell the wasteland that it will bloom again. 'Cause it's your nature. You will restore the years that shame has stolen. You keep the promises that you have spoken. I know this wasteland will be whole again. 'Cause it's your nature. You bring peace to the war inside us, and all fear is silenced, God. It's your nature. You bring joy to the broken hearted. Oh, that your streams can't run to. There are no ruins that your love won't make new. You tell the wasteland that it will bloom again, 'cause it's your nature. You will restore the years that shame has stolen. You keep the promises that you have spoken. I know this wasteland will be whole again, 'cause it's your nature.
Okay, yes, welcome to Village Church. Are you glad to be here today? Oh, wow, okay. Well, we're going to get you more pumped up than that. So I'm Pastor Jeremy. I'm the interim lead senior pastor of Village Church right now. And sorry about my voice. It's not the plague. It's just seasonal allergies. Don't worry. I'm not going to affect anyone. But I'm really excited to be here this morning because I didn't want to miss this. I wanted to introduce to you this week's special guest speaker. A couple clues to who this is. This person is someone you might know. This person, clue number one, used to actually be a pastor here at Village Church. Well, that could be in many number of people. Second clue, this person was the founding pastor of Village Church. So that probably gave it away. This person, number three, likes to golf. So there you go. You know who this is. Help me welcome all the way from Bayside Church in Sacramento for the first time back on Village Church stage, Pastor Mark Clark.
All right, shut up! Oh yeah, I'm supposed to stand back here. Sorry, Greg. Love you, guys. Man, so good to be back. So good to be with you guys. I have been tracking with everything you guys are doing, hanging out with the elders, chatting with them about stuff, chatting with the preachers and the pastors every week, watching what they're doing. My boy Andrew McCourt was up here a few weeks ago, the Irishman. My boy Ricky was here a couple weeks ago. And just been so awesome just hearing everything you guys are doing. Jared's doing an awesome job. Staff's doing an awesome job. So I'm super excited to be back here and hanging with you guys today. We're doing good. Aaron's doing good. The kids are doing good. The church is awesome down there. It's busy time. And it's sunny every day and 30 degrees every day. So I miss you. I do miss you. But kinda miss you. I'm just kidding. No, I really do miss you guys. John chapter 13, more importantly, here's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about Jesus today. And this message is for it's kind of like the ragamuffin message sermon. It's like a sermon for the rest of us. It's a sermon for the people who feel pretty beat up in life. It's not for the righteous people. It's not for the religious people. It's not for the good people in this room. So if you're a good person in this room, you can leave now. This will be irrelevant to you. If you are a righteous person, if you are someone who doesn't have any problems, if you've never been broken, if you've never made any mistakes, if you're the person who's never watched like a rated R movie before because there's swear words in it, all right? If you're someone who didn't kiss until you were married, you're weird. And you're too righteous for this room, all right? So that's the reality. What we're talking about today are people who are a disaster, people who are a mess, people who've made mistakes, people who have sinned, and where do we actually find hope in the midst of that? So if you got a Bible, John chapter 13 is where we're going to start. Of course, we're in the Last Supper moment. We're in the upper room. All of 13, all the way through 17, 18 is Jesus now talking in light of this being his last day on earth, and he's hanging out with the 12 disciples. And last couple weeks we've talked about that. And then in verse 31 of John 13 it says this: when he had gone out. Now the he, we got to stop there because the he is a guy named Judas Iscariot. And if you're new to church, Judas Iscariot is the guy who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. He betrayed Jesus for money. And I'm not sure that's actually that unique to Judas, because I think there's people here who betray Jesus for money every day, right? There's people who elevate money over their call of Jesus in their life every single day. That's just the nature of being a human being. And so we beat up on Judas, and we're like, how many of you have kids named Judas, as Victor talked about a couple of weeks ago? You didn't never think about that. You're like, Jason, David, hey, what about Judas Iscariot? No, we don't want to call our kids that, because the reality is Judas was a bad guy who betrayed Jesus. Now, why was Judas' betrayal of Jesus such a thing? So it could have been just a stranger that betrayed Jesus. It could have been some truck driver just driving by. He's like, hey, look, there's Jesus. Go get him, Roman Empire. And they could have arrested him. Wasn't that? It was one of Jesus' 12 disciples who actually spent 3 years with Jesus, and he betrays him. Now, what's so important about that? Well, what's so important about it is because there was a few years ago, this guy wrote a book about the sins of the Bible and their place in the glory of Christ. And what there's a chapter called The Judas and the Suicide of Satan. And basically the premise of the chapter was Satan already knows he's defeated, and so he uses Judas in order to do one last dig at Jesus. Because if you have a friend betray you, it's worse for you emotionally, right? How many of us actually can if any random, like there's people on the internet all the time who like make fun of me, like, I can't believe you dressed up like Harry Potter for Halloween, Pastor Mark. You're a false prophet, right? Shut up. I don't care who you are. I don't know you. There's people, I can't believe you moved to California. And then I looked them up, they're from Norway. I'm like, I don't care about you in Norway. Like, my job is not to pastor the entire internet, right? And so, but if a friend who I golf with twice a week sits me down and goes, you know, that Harry Potter outfit, I got questions. Then I'm like, oh, I want to have a conversation with you. This is the hard part about when a spouse betrays you in life. One of the greatest hardships anybody goes through is a spouse, someone you love, your best friend, turned on you, talked behind your back, stuck you. Like, this is what's painful. Why? Because emotional pain is worse than physical pain, right? We would take a cut anytime versus the emotional, psychological pain of the things that we go through. And here is the plan. Judas is the one who goes out and betrays Jesus, and the emotional pain that Jesus then goes through. So here's the thing. This is what I want you guys to see. Jesus Christ is what the old hymn writers used to call the man of sorrows. This is the one who suffered brutally, not just physically, but emotionally and psychologically for you. And so we got to start to just be in awe of that. And some of us who are here, maybe you're exploring Christianity and you're like, man, I don't know about this Christianity thing. Listen, even if you're an atheist, even if you're agnostic, even if you're a skeptic, this should make you go, Jesus Christ suffered immensely, emotionally, physically, and here's the crazy thing about it. He knew that he was gonna suffer and he came anyway. That should make you want Christianity to be true, right? Like, even if you're like, I'm not sure about it, you should look at Jesus, the one who actually knew he was gonna die, suffer emotionally, suffer physically, and go, my gosh, he came anyway. Why did he come? He came to save you, to reconcile you to God, to provide a way to forgive you of your sin, to forgive you of your mistakes, to forgive. And so this is the one that we go, my gosh, I'm actually gonna sit back and say, Jesus Christ did this for me. What am I gonna actually do with him? Because some of us in this life, we got to recognize when we're reading the Bible, we ain't always the disciples. Like, when we read the Gospels, we're like either Jesus or one of the good, like, we're like, hey, I'm Andrew, I'm throwing the nets around. I'm James, I'm John, I'm Peter, just trying to be a good person and follow Jesus. Sometimes you're Judas, right? Sometimes you have to understand you aren't the hero of the story. You're the villain that Jesus needed to come and save. That's the reality. You have to recognize yourself as sinner. That's your default position. And Jesus had to come and actually save you because you're playing the role of Judas in your life. And so here's the problem. I think what happened with Judas happens to us all the time. Every day we wake up, we cheat on Jesus, we betray Jesus. And here's the thing I want to say to us as a principle for our life. We got to make sure that this isn't where our heart is, because if your heart is there already in the dark, it's just going to come out at some point. Here's what's inevitable in life. What's true about you in secret at some point is coming out. at some point, if you have it in your heart to betray him, at some point, you're gonna go out. You're going to, and my friend told me the other day a story about his buddy. He was out front of his, this happened like a couple weeks ago. He was out front of his house and he was like washing his car or whatever he's doing. And this woman came out of her house. Neighbor friend knows her. She comes out and she gets in her car and she goes to leave and she's sitting in her car for, 4 or 5 minutes. And all of a sudden she gets out of the car. And the guy hears her go, "What a dirty pig, I can't believe you. What are you doing?" And she gets out of the car, she slams her and she walks inside the house. And so the guy's like, "What happened?" A couple days later, he sees her. He's like, "What happened? I don't understand what happened." And she's like, "Oh," and she wouldn't tell. Finally, the husband came out. He's like, "Oh man, I'm such an idiot." He's like, "What?" Well, so the guy goes down into the bathroom and he pulls his phone out and he starts looking at dirty videos. But the problem is, it's connected to the Bluetooth in the car. So he's watching dirty videos and they're making the noise that they make. All right, I won't do it for you, but, all right? And that's filling the car, and the wife's sitting in the car. And so she just goes in and just reams the guy. He's like, I don't know, thought it was Dora. Right? He's just trying to come up with excuses. Because here's the reality, guys. Who you are in the dark will come out. It will happen. And so where's the fight? The fight ain't here in these rooms, across the campuses, trying to look good and look religious and look righteous and raise your hands and carry a Bible. That's not the fight. The fight is when you're by yourself. It's discipleship in the dark. It's my buddy's parents. I'm standing at my buddy's house, 75 years old, been married 50 years. Every night at like 9 or 10 o'clock, he goes by their little window and they're reading the Bible and praying together. That's the fight. That's the difficult place. And that will actually come out over time in life. And so the challenge is, guys, to not be Judases. We just skip over Judas as if he's got nothing for us. Don't be a Judas. Don't be someone who, because we're so obsessed about not offending our neighbors and our family and our friends and people on the internet, we forgot that we're offending God sometimes and we don't care. And so, how do you not be a Judas? Man, the longer I do pastoral ministry in the places that I do it, I realize there are only really one kind of people, if they're honest with themselves, and it's people who are Judases who've made mistakes and difficulties, and they need grace. And here's what I'm here to tell you. If you have fumbled the ball and walked out on Jesus, there is grace for you the minute you turn back to him. He doesn't even delay. And some of you are like, "Yeah, but could I ever be forgiven?" Listen, you guys, you fumble the ball, the mistakes you make. Do you know how many? Okay, so I moved down to California a couple months ago. I'm at a new church. I don't know what I'm doing in America. I gotta learn a new language called American. I don't even know what they're talking about half the time. They say y'all every 30 seconds. I don't know what they're doing half the time. You know how many mistakes I got up and preached my first sermon and made fun of them the whole time. I'm just like, you Americans, you don't even. So they have this thing in America. This won't go on the internet, right? Okay, good. So here's the thing about America. So they only have 2 garbage cans. They got garbage and then they got organics. And they think, I'm like, where's all the recycling? They're like, well, just put it in the garbage. I'm like, but this is a can. And they're like, yeah, but it just goes in the garbage. And then someone sorts it. That's what they think. And so I got up and just made fun of them. I'm like, guys, no one's sorting it. It's just going in some big pile somewhere, and you guys just move on with it. Someone's sorting it, Tom. Yeah. No, they're not. So anyway, I'm just saying the emails weren't good on that one. And then I did a thing on, anyways, so I'm just saying it's not going smooth. Little bumpy. We make mistakes all the time. I got invited to a celebrity golf tournament a week ago. So I go up to a celebrity golf tournament in Napa, I know. And I'm like hanging out with these celebrities, but it's not like A-listers, it's like CD listers, like like I had dinner with like the lady who was on a sitcom in the 90s. And so I'm like hanging with her, and you know, we're having dinner, we're joking around, and I'm like, hey, so have you done anything since? And she's like, no. I'm like, oh, how do you make money then? And she just like stood up and just walked away. I'm like, what? And then I met David Justice at this guy. You know, sports fans. David Justice was this big baseball player in the 90s, Atlanta Braves. And the Atlanta Braves, of course, played the Toronto Blue Jays, and I was 12, 13 years old when they won the World Series against them. I'm like, David Justice, we got this photo together, nicest guy on the planet. I'm like, bro, you guys played the Blue Jays when I was a kid. I am just so glad you were not a better baseball player because we won. And he's like, what the? Just walked away from me. I'm like, what? Like, we fumble. We make mistakes. My wife, sweetest person on the planet, always wants everybody to feel good about themselves, feel comfortable in life. So she talks too much, and she gets herself into trouble. So we get down there. She gets invited to this women's thing. They're all hanging out. And they're like, hey, so they get talking. They're like, does Mark like tanning? Like just sun. He seems to love just always wanting to be out in the sun all the time. He works out in the sun. She's like, oh man, he loves the sun. You know, by the time the summer's over, he's gonna look like George Foreman. This is in America, all right? Now, the group just quickly moved on, and she's like, I don't understand what everyone's problem is. And in her brain, what she meant was George Hamilton, all right? They thought there was gonna be a race war. All right? He's like, no, I meant George Hamilton. Dude, you fumble, you make mistakes, you sin every single day of your life. You have been a Judas. And the reality is, God uses Judas's, and this is the grace thing that we never see of Judas's life. If he had turned, man, if he had repented, then God could have used him. But he never does. And here's the thing, like, God takes the messed up people of the world and does something with them, right? I met a couple in the Keg the other night. We went there and having dinner. I walked in the door, this guy walks right up to me. He just says, I just want to meet you and thank you. God used you to change my life. And he said, 2 years ago, I was an addict. I was an alcoholic. And I was dating this girl, and she brought me to the church and heard about Jesus from you. I gave my life to Jesus, started reading the Bible, and my whole life transformed. I've been 2 years sober. Everything about my life is different. I think they're probably here today. They said they were going to come today. Dude, that story made it all worth it in the sense of that is what it's all about. This is what God does, for those of you wondering in this room. He transforms people still. It's what he does. And it's never too late. If you got breath in your lungs, it's never too late to turn it around. He transforms. He changes what you want to do. He gets inside. He changes your affections. If you read St. Augustine, he wrote this little book called Confessions. St. Augustine was one of the greatest thinkers, one of the greatest Christians in the history of Christendom. Writing in the 300s, the 400s, the most brilliant guys ever lived. But before he became a Christian, he had a sex addiction, and he couldn't figure it out. He'd go to all the brothels, he'd be with all these women, and then he becomes a Christian. He's trying his best to focus on Jesus, change his life, and he's walking down the street, and one of the ladies comes out of the brothel and says, Augustine, look, come here. And he's like, no, I can't do it. I gotta go. I gotta just keep my head down and go. She's like, Augustine, come here. Augustine, don't you recognize me? It is I. I was reading this story the other day. She goes, it is I. And he turns around to her and he goes, yeah, I know, but it is not I. I have changed. Something about my life. I have been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. My whole identity has shifted. I am not the same person anymore. That's what can happen to anyone in this room, across these sites, watch it on the internet. Hopefully not in America. All of you can change. You just need to start. Like today is the first day you can turn it around. That's the hope I kept getting as I read this passage. And for those of you going, yeah, I don't know. Here's how big the grace of God is. There's this pastor that I know, pastored years in Toronto, pastored for 10 or 15 years. Love Jesus, love the Bible, Bible studies, theology, seminary, leading, serving, preaching, great guy. A few years ago, started drinking a little too much, going through anxiety, going through difficulty. 2 weeks ago, drank himself to death. Now, some of us might go, okay, well, guess he's in hell. That's because you don't understand the grace of God, man. No, he's imperfect in this life, but completely healed and whole and perfect in the next life. That's the grace of Jesus. You can't out-sin him. And some of you don't even want to start to change because you're like, there's no way he can forgive me. Believe me, he can, he will, he sustains. Okay, that's verse 31a. Then Jesus, then Jesus said, oh, this is beautiful, because this is how all this happens. This is how all this grace and power happens. Jesus said, the Son of Man, this is something that's come up a couple weeks ago. I think Chinchilla dealt with it 4 or 5 weeks ago. One of the other pastors of the church. Son of Man, it's Jesus' favorite term for himself. It's used like 60 to 70 times throughout the New Testament, throughout the Gospels. And basically it comes from Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7 is this passage of the Old Testament, very apocalyptic and weird imagery about all these Assyrian and Babylonian empires. But one day, all of them are going to be stripped of power, and it's going to go to one like the Son of Man. And Israel understood that that was going to be them or their Messiah at the end of time. So the idea was a Son of Man would arrive, and all the powers of the empires of the world would be stripped and be given to him, in this great moment of salvation would happen. It's called, so let me teach you a technical word. It's called eschatology, okay? So the Greek word eschatos, is the word for end times or last days. So basically in theology, they take Greek words and they just put them in front of other words, and then that's what you're studying. So the Greek word for theology, God is theos, and that's why when you study God, it's called theology. So you go through it. So eschatos is an eschatology. It's the end. Actually, and funny, there's a retirement home right near my house that I drive by every single day, and it's called Eschaton Retirement Home. Like literally, these people don't understand. The guy who started that just put last days right in the title. Like that's the name of the retirement home. It's like, you're in your last days. You won't be here long. You can come hang out for a bit, but you're done soon. Right in the title. So that was, this Son of Man thing was an eschatological belief. It was going to happen at the end of the world. At the end of time, God was going to bring justice and righteousness and hope and forgiveness of sins. And what happens is Jesus says, this is happening now in me. The end has come, ushered into the present. What I am doing right now, all the powers of the world are being stripped and they're being given to me. Now, how's that going to happen? Because I'm going to be glorified, and the great moment of glorification for Jesus all the way through the Gospel of John, since chapter 2, is the moment of the cross. That's where the glorification is. That's where the accomplishment of the defeat of Satan, sin, and death is. It's on the cross of Jesus. The moment of glory for Jesus is the moment he defeats sin. But it doesn't look, and here's the thing for us, and I need you to grasp this. This hit me the other day. I was reading Romans 8. Doesn't it look like Jesus loses? According to the ways of the world, the empire kills Jesus. He's done. He doesn't survive. He gets on the cross. They kill him. And for those 3 days, he's a loser. And then I was reading Romans 8, and Paul says, reflecting on the church and what our job is and what our experience is, he's talking about our suffering and our pain and our persecution. And he says, we're dying all day. And what struck me is the fact that we as Christians, we in the church rarely embrace the idea that we're allowed to die all day and fail. We want to look like we succeed. We want to win the culture war. Right? We want to be the victors. We want to be successful. We want to get ahead with our money and our possessions and our beauty and our intellect. And the whole framework of the Bible is, wait a minute, maybe a people who are actually faithful to the way that God wants them to function in the world will lose in a world this corrupt. Because if you're running in a race and everyone's juiced up and you're not juiced up, are you going to win or lose? You're going to lose. And the loss is the victory. That's what Jesus, he gets glorified. He gets crucified. And in his crucifixion is the victory. So you go out, you go to a country that is persecuting Christians and you die telling people about Jesus. Did you lose? You won, man. You won. And we have this all flipped upside down. We're dying all day, the Apostle Paul says in Romans 8. And that's the victory. When you take the heat, when you get the persecution, when people are against you, that's the victory. You don't have a culture war to win. In fact, if we lost it, that might actually be to the glory of God. Because the world's so messed up, how could we win? So Jesus' moment of glory, the thing that we think he should be, riding on a big stallion, coming in victorious, he actually gets crucified. Now, the glorification moment, God is gloried in him. If God is glorified in him, God will also glorify him in himself and glorify him at once. This great moment of the cross that some of you haven't even trusted in yet. Some of you have not given your life to Jesus. In fact, you're so busy crucifying yourself every single day that you haven't let it go to him yet. I want to free you from that. You're so busy punishing yourself over mistakes you've made, sins that you've done. You're crucifying. Listen, that's the reason he got crucified for you guys, so that you don't have to crucify yourself. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. I say this to my kids almost every day. Right? They come, Daddy, I'm sorry, I forgot to feed the dog. Idiot. And now there's no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Okay, verse 33 says this, little children. I love this. I love this because this is where the humility comes in. This is where it's all about how can you ever get into the kingdom? The only way into the kingdom is by becoming a little child. You ever seen one? They're dumb as a stump. And they have, this is what it means. All the pride, all the arrogance, all the money, all the possessions, all the success, all the beauty, all the intellect doesn't get you into the kingdom at all. It doesn't even matter in the end. It burns. You think kids sit around and when you talk to a little kid, what do? They talk, what do you want to do, little kid? I want to be an astronaut. I don't think that pays well. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a farmer. They don't go, I wonder what my retirement's going to be. I wonder how much money I'm going to make. I wonder what the salary is on a teacher. Maybe I should go into something else. That's not how they think, man. They dream. They dream. Their identity is like, and this is the kind of humility every single one of us needs in order to get into the kingdom. You got to become a child, which means you got to become weak. That's hard. Charles Spurgeon, one of my favorite preachers in the 1800s, he said this, God doesn't need your strength. He has all of that in himself. He needs your weakness. He has none of that. Come on. He has no weakness. But he uses people who recognize their weakness. So to get into the kingdom and to be successful in the eyes of the kingdom, you don't have to be successful. And you don't have to be beautiful. And you don't have to be cool. And you don't have to be smart. You just have to be humble, like a kid. And humble's a hard thing because we think we can get, like moving down there and being so, I moved down there and everyone's like, oh my, you're going down there, come to one of the bosses at the church. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna make some big decisions. You're gonna strategize early. You're gonna show people who's boss, maybe fire someone, do a budget, get up there. Oh yeah, here's power, yeah, leadership. That's how we think because we're dumb. You know what the most powerful thing I've done there is? They had a gala for kids with special needs. And I showed up in a suit and danced the whole night away with all these girls, special needs girls. And I guess someone took their phone out and filmed me. Unfortunately, it was a lot of white man overbite. That's the thing that went viral. And that's the thing people at the church still talk about. That's the thing that had impact and influence on them. Big decisions, budgets, leadership, rah. No, dancing with the least of these. You want to get ahead and progress, the only way to do it is through humility. is to go, I'm not all that. I'm not that cool. See, here's the thing. What we got to realize is most of you are going to do a 1 Thessalonians life where Paul says, here's the will of God for your life, that you live a quiet and simple life. Most of you are not going to start mission organizations where you take the world for Christ. Most of you, it's going to be like, I got to get the kids to soccer practice. I love Jesus. I got the grocery list figured out, and I'm working on my marriage. Boom. That's the will of God for your life. Like a little kid. Doesn't aspire to necessarily change the world. Some of you will. But most of us are here. And it's going, I'm going to just let God do a thing because I don't know what to do. Preach Christ, this guy Zinderdorf said. Die and be forgotten. Oh man, that's the new mantra of my life. Preach Christ, die, and be forgotten. I just want to be forgotten because then Christ is glorified. So he says, yet a little while, I am with you, which is very interesting. I'm with you. You know, it's interesting. Don't we, I was reading Thomas Goodwin the other day, who's this Puritan theologian. He pointed something very profound out. He said, we oftentimes romanticize the concept of living at the time of Jesus because we think it'd be easier. Like if we could see Jesus, if we could hear his voice, if we could be around him when he's like turning the fish, and then we would be a follower. But it's so much harder now because we can't see him, we can't touch him, we can't, you know. And so, but Thomas Goodwin said, no, that's actually not the theology of the New Testament at all. You see, Jesus was this local person who was around for 33 years, but then he even says in the Gospel of John, I am leaving, and it's good for you that I leave, because when I leave, there's going to come what? The Spirit of God, the Comforter, the Counselor is going to actually come, which means this. We don't just have Jesus outside of us. In the Spirit, you get Christ in you, which means we're in a better state than the people who lived at the time of Jesus. What? That blew my mind. Because now it's not Christ external, it's Christ internal. You have the Spirit of God in your life if you've trusted in Jesus. And so he says, I'm with you now. But I got to get out of here. So the Holy Spirit that has power and security to change your life will actually come upon your life. We're in a better state than the people living at the time of Jesus. And so he says, you will seek me, and just as I said to the Jews, so now I'll say to you, where I am going, you cannot come. Because he's going to the cross and then he's going to heaven. And then he says this, a new commandment I give to you. So if you're a Jew, this is the most offensive thing on the planet. Because your whole life is you have the what? How many commandments? 10. I'm not going to ask you to say them. Perfect. Don't know what that means. So a new command. So here's you got 10 commandments. They're thinking Moses gives us 10 commandments. This is our whole life, the Torah. We're going to live our life. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And then Jesus comes along and goes, I got a new one. Well, who are you to give a new one? I'll tell you who I am. I'm not Moses. I'm God. I'm the one who gave you all the original 10, and I got a new one for you. And that's why some of you here, maybe you belong to a cult, or maybe you're just of another religion, or maybe you're agnostic or atheist, and you're wondering, what is Christianity about? Here's what it claims. Jesus Christ is God, and he has the authority to give a new commandment, to show up and say, I've been God for all of eternity, and now I've come in a human person to give you a new commandment. I'm speaking with authority. And what's the commandment he gives? Oh man, this is where everything gets really tough. That you love one another. Oh my goodness. See, here's the problem with this one. Because we think that what does he say? Just as I have loved you, you're also to love one another. And then what's the result of this? By this, all people will know that you're my disciples. Wait a minute. We think the world is going to know we're Jesus' disciples by being right about stuff. Right? I mean, that's what we post about on our social media. I know how to change the world. I will convince them that my ideas about vaccines are right. That's been you for the last 2.5 years. I got some data. And so what happens? Let's tell everybody the truth. And if I tell everybody the truth, that's going to convince them. And so we've just come up with stuff. instead of loving one another, and by the way, the one another isn't the world, it's actually the church. Imagine Christians actually loved each other. What? Come on. Stop it. It's silly. Christians are the worst. We just come up with stuff. We're just making up ways to divide. And so, oh, you're not vaccinated? Oh my goodness, you're a second-class citizen. You're gonna make everybody sick. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. You're making everybody sick. Can't believe it. Gotta get vaccinated. Wait, you are vaccinated? Don't shed on my kid. My kid's their uterus is gonna shrivel up if you come near my kid. What? Equal opportunity offense? You're just coming up with stuff. I was supposed to come back at the end of July. I'm not sure I am. So we're coming out. Now that's the modern version. That's just like the recent version where we've struggled to love one another because we thought if we could get the right information, if I could get the right information, then the world will know me. No, it's by loving each other. Not by having right doctrine, not by having right politics, not by having the right science, by love. That's what's hard about this. And that's just the modern version. There's been if you've lived long enough, you've seen this in the church before. 20 years ago, you speak in tongues? Oh my gosh, you speak in tongues. Wow. So you're a second-class citizen because tongues, that's just weird stuff right there. Those things died with the early disciples, man. There's no tongues anymore. You don't speak in tongues? You're not even a Christian. Can't believe it. Second-class citizen over there. Oh, don't you preach the Bible? No, we preach the Bible. Guys, we're just coming up. We come up with so many lists throughout time. And Jesus goes, my gosh, guys, when did you start thinking that knowing the right stuff was actually the way that the world would actually know that you're my disciples? It's not the way, man. It's by loving one another, and that's the hard stuff. So over the last 2 months of my life, Bayside has loved me well. We moved down there. I got 3 daughters. We go down there. It's a new world. I don't know what's down there. I don't know where the butcher is. I don't know where the barber is. We come into this house. We don't know what to do. People came in, droves of people. Let me help you with this. Let me put that away. Let me paint that. Let me fix that. That's action. This is what Jesus taught. Action, guys, not words. Anybody who knows who's been married for any length of time, you'll know that the whole love language thing, it's great. Aaron's love language used to be quality time and physical touch. Oh, we got to hang. Oh, I'm going to love you. Buddy, we've been together 20 years now. It's only words. It's not words of affirmation anymore. Words are cheap. Her quote. It's only acts of service. Live it out, bro. You live off your words. Words mean nothing. Act like you love me. So act like you love one another. Don't say it, love you. Act it. Serve with your time and your money and your energy. Love one another, and then the world will go, holy smokes, I want to be a part of this. I've told you guys if you've been around Village before, a bunch of years ago when I was finishing college. So I'd gone through high school, and mostly what I'd done in the early years of high school was just smoke a lot of dope and hang out in a garage and try to figure the universe out. And then I became a Christian, and then I went back to tell those people about Jesus. So I was sitting in the same garage telling them about Jesus. High, because we'd hotboxed the garage, but I was now a Christian missionary, so it was okay. So we're talking about Jesus, we're exploring all these things, but in my second half of high school, I actually got right with the Lord and tried to figure my life out, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. I was going to go in the film industry, and I was going to do all these things, and then I ended up in college, in Bible college, and loved it, and footnotes and papers, and it was amazing. I loved it. So it was 4 years of that, and I come to the end of it, and I wanted to become an academic. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to go overseas and do a PhD and do all this stuff. So it was really important, so I dug in all these papers, and then at the end of college, they came to me and they said, hey, we realize you're lacking a credit from high school. You got to go back to high school and actually finish your credit. I'm like 23 years old. I've been in college for 4 years, and I go back to high school with a bunch of 17-year-olds who've never written a paper in their life. It was like a John Hughes film. I go back, and I'm hanging out with all these high school kids for a whole summer, 17-year-olds. And what happened there is I'm telling them about Jesus. We're sitting around, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 become 20, and we're sitting around, we're gauging ideas for a whole month. And then the teacher starts to make fun of the Muslim girl. And I stand up for the Muslim girl. I go, hey, listen, you don't know anything about the Quran. You know nothing about her traditions. And then he starts to make fun of another girl, and I stand up for her. And by the end of that month, here's what happened. All of them said, we don't believe one iota of what you believe, but we want what you've got. Because it's just different. That's how the world knows us. Not by our words, not by our posts, not by our intelligence, not by the fact that we're cool, not by the fact that we're beautiful, not by the fact that we're successful and we got cool possessions. Because in those moments, we elevate gift above giver. Your job is to show people how good the giver is. How good is the giver, guys? That you treasure the giver above everything else. That's the hope. And so that's where the whole passage ends. Verse 36, Simon Peter said to him, Lord, where are you going? And Jesus answered him, where I am going, you cannot follow me. Oh, love this. But you will follow afterward. The only way any of us get to heaven is because Jesus says it. Jesus gets us there. You can't get there by yourself. You can't get there with religion. You can't get there by being a good person. You can't think your way into it. You can't social media your way into it. You can't politicize your way into it. It's only when Jesus says, you're going to come to. Not because you're perfect, but because I'm perfect. And so I'll leave you with this. I was watching this Good Friday sermon, and the guy said, you got Jesus in the middle cross, you got a guy on his left and a guy on his right. And the guy on the right says, hey, you should get us down from here. We're revolutionaries. We got to get out of here. And then the other guy goes, hey, can you remember me when you come into your kingdom? Like a little child. He says it. Can you remember me when you come into your kingdom? I got nothing. I have nothing am I going to cling on to. I got no reputation. I got no beauty to speak of. I got no money to speak of. Who knows if this guy's getting crucified, his marriage is a disaster. I got nothing. Can you remember me when you come into your kingdom, please? Humble. And Jesus goes, yeah, today you're going to join me in paradise. And then he dies a few hours later, and he gets to the pearly gates, and the guy says, how did you get here? And the guy goes, I don't know. The guy on the middle cross told me I could come. That's it, man. So, Father, I do pray that every single person across all these sites going through this text begins to realize that it's only when Jesus says we can come that we get in at all. It's only when Jesus says it that we can transform our life, that we have any power, that we got to stop trusting in ourselves and trusting in religion and trusting in ideology and trusting on being cool and trusting in money and trusting in possessions and trusting in being successful, because all those things are just on this side of the veil. There's the deeper question about the spiritual life of every single one of us, from the youngest to the oldest, that needs to be answered by the person and the work of Jesus alone. And that work would be done, and that people across these rooms would even give their life to you right now and be in awe, and not only put their faith in you, but treasure you above everything. And that those of us who already know you would walk until the last day, that we would get to the end, and then we'd follow you to the place you went, and are right now interceding on our behalf in front of the Father and ready to hand your righteousness over to us, in spite of the fact, in light of the fact, that we don't have any of ourselves. Do those miracles. In Jesus' great name we pray. Amen.
You're like starlight in the dark, endless miles can't conceal you, and every glimmer is a spark, catching fire as you break through. No, You're not far away, you're coming close. And oh, even as I wait, you're coming close. You're like summer in the night. The sun goes down, but still I feel you. And every shadow's turning bright. And every broken heart is made new. No, you're not far away, you're coming close. And oh, even as I wait, you're coming There's no heart unseen. There's no space between you and I. You and I. You are closer than the very oxygen I'm breathing in. I breathe you in. You are gone with us. You are here with us. Emmanuel, Emmanuel. You are infinite. Your glory has no end. Jesus, Cause there's no heart unseen. There's no space between you and I. You and I. You are closer than the very oxygen I'm breathing in. I'm breathing in. You are God with us. You are here with us, Emmanuel. Emmanuel. You are infinite. Your glory has no end. Jesus, Jesus. And though you're not far away, you're coming close. And oh, even as I wait, you're coming close. Cause you're like starlight in the dark. Endless miles can't conceal you. And every glimmer is a spark, catching fire as you break through.
Man, Jesus is so good. I love just reflecting on those lyrics about God's goodness, his love for us, and his love for you. I hope that the message that we heard from Mark was impactful for you. And our prayer is that it would actually transform your life. It's not just words that you hear and think, that was fun. No, it actually means something. Like those words are true, that God is real, that he loves you and he wants more for you. And that is a relationship with Jesus. And if you want to step into a next step, whatever that is, we're here to help you. That's one reason that Kristen's here joining to actually say there's a team here. It's not just me. There's a bunch of people that are here and want to connect with you and help you. So whatever you're going through, we want to hear from you. Go to thisisvillagechurch.com/connect with us. There you can fill out your name, your email, and whatever's going on. May it be a question, just your story, or a prayer request. You can do it all there.
And not only that, we just want to take a moment and pause and say thank you. Thank you for your generosity in supporting this mission here at Village Church to see people transformed into fully devoted followers of Jesus. And for your giving, your generosity, and your resources, we want to thank you. And if you want to take part too, you can at thisisvillagechurch.com/give or text Village Church to 77977.
Yeah, I love that. I love texting in the giving. It's so easy. That's why we just set up reoccurring for us. And it's just like, set it and forget it. And it's cool. That is actually an act of a response, even of what you've heard today. Giving is not just for a reason, but it's for your heart. It's for us to say, God, I actually trust you. I believe in what you're saying, and I want to partake in that. So that can be a great act of actually responding to what God's doing. Well, this has been a great service. We're glad that you're joined, and we're so excited to see you next time.